I'm going to talk today about Wi-Fi checklists and a little bit of history of why we have checklists and what took us so long to get them. Some other industries took a long time too, so we're not that bad, but we really need to deal with this issue. So me, you can see that. This is my pre-COVID picture. I got COVID. Actually, I got COVID twice, and it turned my hair white. What a weird thing. It has nothing to do with age. It was the COVID that did it. I keep telling myself that. Before we get started, I want to do a really quick review, like not even 2 seconds apiece. I think in order for us to understand the Wi-Fi checklists, we need to understand everything about Wi-Fi, like the whole CWNA, how associations work, the whole client thing. And so I carry around with me laminated cards. So when I'm talking to my customers, I can point and say, see, this is where we are. So I have a 2.4 sheet with all the information on 2.4, a 5 gig one, a 6 gig one. If you zoom in, you can see we added lots of details, like the actual frequencies, how long the wavelengths are, the free space path loss for each one. And they're on all three of those, and those are freely available. We just want to, you need this information, so why not put it in an easy format? Another one, and I made this up 5 years ago, and so it's missing some 6 gig pieces. If you don't understand the flow of how a client device joins an access point and where part of the red stuff's all in wireless, the blue part's on your local network and the green part's out on the WAN, and all of them were working together. And so when someone says, Wi-Fi sucks, well, is it a green problem, a blue problem, a red problem? If it's a red problem, which part is the red problem? And if you don't know, you're just stuck in this little loop. So there's 33 bubbles on this screen. And if you look behind them, each bubble has the list of metrics behind it. Yeah, it's complex, huh? Sorry. I should say the word maths just to mess up people up. It has lots of maths. No, there's this information. So if you don't know it, learn it. I can't just talk to you about a checklist if you don't understand how the whole protocol works. So I'm not talking about the protocol. I will, though, bring up something that David brought up earlier, and I think this is important. If we look back here, in the past, we had 2 years, and then we got B and A in the same year. Then we had 4 years, then we had 6 years, then we had 4 years, then we had 6 years, and now we went 2, 2, 2. It's speeding up. Not only is it speeding up, it's getting way more complex. We just had a couple here, and now look what we can do here. Here was the number of MCSs. Oh, yeah, and oh. That's how many different MCS choices our clients have, and they have to make that decision on the fly. So, of course, we also have to have an MCS table, and this is a subset of the actual monster-sized table. I only print out the small one, because how many of your clients are more than 2 by 2? You know, you just need the 2 by 2 little part. So anyway, that was just resources you should know, because if you don't understand, it's really hard to talk about the next thing. So let's talk about checklists. I read this book a couple years ago, and I actually presented it here at Wi-Fi Design Day years ago, and I used the first example of the very next slide. But Miko said something to me this morning. Oh, I know what you're going to talk about. No, you don't. I'm going to use one slide the same, but then the result after is different. We need checklists. This is why. Pre-World War II, between the wars, the US government wanted a new bomber, a long-range bomber with 4 engines. Boeing thought they'd make one. They made it. They went to a field in Ohio, and they were going to show it off. They had the best pilot. All of Congress was there. The newspapers were there. And he goes to take off, and they're all watching, taking pictures, and it goes, blah, and the pilot died. Best pilot they had. And the FAA at the time thought, whoa, what happened? Let's figure this out. And someone wrote, too much airplane for one man to fly, which was not true. But that's what it looked like, because you took the best test pilot and the best design, and it didn't even fly for a minute. And it crashed. Now what they found out, the crash was caused. There was a new feature, because it had really big elevators in the back, And when it was windy, they would flap. And there was a little thing, and it would hit the pilot's knees. So there was a little switch to put on what was called the gust lock, which just locked the hinge so it wouldn't flap around. And the pilot forgot to flip the switch, and he died. I mean, sometimes you have big consequences for little small errors. So today, my son's an F-16 pilot, and he uses checklists every single day. Actually, I talked to him about it, said I was coming here, and he says, I'll show you some pictures. He had a story and why he loves checklists. He was on a sortie out flying ground support, and he was dropping bombs and flying about 850 kilometers an hour, 150 meters off the ground. There's not a lot of time when you're that fast, that close. And he just did 5 bombing runs, scored well, he was all happy. He comes back to land, and as soon as he lands at the end of the runway, there's a checklist for everything, and there's a checklist as soon as you land, before you taxi, do this checklist. And one of the checklists was, reach down between your legs and turn the injection seat to safe. And he reaches down, and it's already in safe. Like, there's no way you can recover at that speed. Even if you needed to eject, you barely have enough time, let alone, oh, sorry, I didn't eject because I wonder what could have went wrong. Work through the little thing. Yeah, he's already in the ground. Another problem we had for years, and this is another group that is also super smart people, doctors, surgeons, they're out doing stuff. And up until the year 2008, that wasn't that long ago, we had people dying in surgical suites all around the world because they made stupid mistakes. So the UN and the WHO organization said, no, we can fix this if we just have them follow a checklist. We just follow this checklist, like, what's the name of the anesthesiologist? So if there's a problem, I could say, Joe, do this, rather than, hey, what's your name? Just little things matter. They didn't change it till 2008. And the first year after they did it, they saved 1/3, actually it's closer to 35% of all lives that would have been lost weren't because of a stupid checklist. And my son is an RN, and he works in surgeries, and he's in the surgery suite, that's his job. And they use this checklist every single day. Before, during, and after, they have checklists for everything. So in talking to my 2 sons about this, they said, what took you so long? And I said, well, I'm in the industry, and we have super smart but really cocky people, and they think they know it all, so they can't agree on stuff. And my first son goes, have you ever met a fighter pilot? And my nurse son goes, you've obviously never met a surgeon. Super smart, super cocky, can't agree on anything. But those 2 industries have checklists. We need to have a checklist. First checklist I'm going to show you, I'm going to show 4 today. The first one I've been using for over 2 decades. It's pretty simple. It's, how do you not have a wireless problem? Well, if you don't want a wireless problem, don't let a wired problem become a wireless problem. I had a consulting gig once, it was fantastic. A group in Dubai put me on a private jet to fly to Dubai to fix a problem. I walk in, I pull out my laptop, I associate, and I say, why are we on VLAN 22? Aren't we supposed to be in VLAN 20? And they went, oh, goes over, click, click, click. Oh, thanks for fixing our Wi-Fi. So they didn't send me back on the private jet though. I had to take a regular one. Sometimes wired problems, if you don't catch them in time, become wireless problems. So a simple checklist is this. Before you install the AP, let me back up. There's a caveat on this. When I'm doing these and by the way, I've done, probably 20, 30, 40,000 APs using this technique. It works. But you have to do your install the right way. And I say the right way, I'm the Wi-Fi guy. I'm last. I'm not first. I want the cable working, I want the switch working, I want the WAN link working, I want everything working, and then I'll put in the AP. If you put the AP in first and you work on those other things, any of those problems are going to be, Wi-Fi sucks. And it's not a Wi-Fi problem. And they take way too long to catch. So you just make sure the cable, yeah, that's cool. You know what? At the end, I've got one picture that has all of these documents. You can just download them all for free. But if you'd like to take the pictures, go ahead. And they're prettier too. They're in PDF format. Check just do the regular wired stuff. And by the way, I have my cable installers do this. And they've been doing it for me for 2 decades. It used to cost me $20 an AP, and now costs me about $50 an AP, on top of whatever their cable cost is, but they do this for me. They're on site, they have the ladder, they're standing up there, they're doing it. It takes a couple minutes, and for $50, they'll gladly do the extra. When you get all done, then you install the AP. When you know that the wire works. Then after you install the AP, you have them just test the AP. It's amazing how many problems you could find that the config didn't actually work. And so by the time you get down here and each SSID is in the proper VLAN and the proper iPool and each client can see each SSID, amazing how many Wi-Fi problems just disappear because it worked the day it was installed. Okay, that's the first one. This is the bane of our existence. We laugh sometimes, and Sam Clements has, quote, "It depends, TM," it's his trademark. But we see it depends all the time. And it's true, it does depend on all sorts of things, which is why we can't agree on anything. What about if it's in a warehouse? Well, then we have this. This morning, you talked about warehouse and directional antennas. Would you put a directional antenna in an office? It depends. Maybe, but most of the time not. And so we get stuck in this "it depends" category, and it keeps us from doing something altogether. So I've been at this for over 5 years now, trying to build this. And I finally just said, I'm tired. Let's just do it. So here it is. Short version. It's got 25 lists. I've contacted scores of wireless professionals, and we've got it down to the top 25 things, and they're categorized by 2, 4, 5 gig, and 6 gig, and we gave some recommendations. Don't shoot me. You might not agree with the recommendations. That's okay. But at least there's the place where you can put in what you think the recommendations should be. So here's what it looks like. We have a topic. You should use 1.6.11 only. We just agreed with that with Phil a minute ago. There it is, 1.6.11 only. It's a check, it's green. If you get it, you put a 1 in that hole. Done. It's not over in 5 gig, it's not in 6 gig, it's a 2.4 only problem. We have some things that are 2.4 only, like this one. We don't want a 40 megahertz channel in 2.4, but in 5 gig, it's okay. I do say check CCC, co-channel contention, because if you have 2 APs on the same channel and they hear each other, you have contention. 2. I've seen some things. You can even go on Echo and set that. Oh, we'll accept 3, 4. Really? It's okay to share your space with 4 other APs and all of their client traffic is sharing the same airtime. Yeah, go ahead. It's better to have a 20 megahertz channel than 2 40s that are sharing, because your contention goes way up, except for our client side says, I would choose a 40 megahertz over a 20. And so we have issues to deal with. Yeah. So anyway, for each of these 25, you have the 3 columns. You look at it. There's a check that says it's a good thing. There's one that says it's a bad thing with a red X. So the answer is, if you got a red X and you have it turned off, then you count it. You got it right. For each of these, on the back of the page, there is a description of why it's there. I didn't put them on the front of the checklist because you should know what they are. If you don't know what they are, you look on the back. But normally you're going to be out doing a checklist. You don't need to know the descriptions. Then we have these little guys. See that little asterisk, upper caret asterisk? That's because out of literally scores of people, we couldn't decide. We couldn't agree. So if you see one of those, some people say, yeah, I think you should always have it on. Some say, well, sometimes you should have it on. And so if you see one of those, just realize there's not a consensus, but at least there's a category for it. So it looks like this. When you have one filled out, you just put a 1 in the column. And then it automatically says, you're 83% correct. Yay. What's your target? I don't know. Well, it'd be nice to have 100%. If you had 100%, then it means all the things the best practices that most people said it should work, and you're doing okay. You might have a different result in 5 gig and 2.4. In fact, you pretty much should have a different result in 5 gig and 2.4. Like this one. What do we want for our signal strength secondary? What do we want?
67.
What if I'm not doing voice?
Everyone's doing voice.
Okay. In your world. Which is why there's that little thing next to it, because not everyone agrees we need to have it there. But it's at least there that you can track it. So here's what they look like all together, and it fits on a single page. And I have a laminated copy, and I just take it with me and go check, 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 check. I actually have an Excel one, and I put the numbers in. It gives a calculation, and I can give this to a customer. It's all done. If you don't know what those are in your network, that's your first problem. You need to know what these things are. If you don't know what and where are you going to get them? Now, you can use Echow with Analyzer and pull up the data. Some pieces of the data, like, is the firmware updated? Yeah, you're probably not going to get that externally. You could use Adrian's Wi-Fi Explorer Pro. You could use Wireshark. I'm not telling you where to get the data. I'm just saying you better know what it is. And if you don't know what it is, then go learn. Okay, this is the quickie. This is just 25. The problem is, and why we haven't been able to agree for all these years, is there's also an extended list. And it goes to 66 more. There's a lot of little teeny things that we use for tuning, and it was going to be like a big, huge monster multi-page list, so I went the top 25, but we can't ignore the other ones. So there's another list, and on the other list, it also has notes to go with it, and this is what that one looks like. You might not want to run this one all the time, but if you're having issues, you might want to come back. This is a good one to tune your network of little things that you might have, like load balancing. You might notice it says, not recommended everywhere. MU-MIMO. Yeah. Don't call it Mu-MIMO. It's not Mu-MIMO. That's for Eddie Ferrero. So anyway, I just wanted to share, and we'll get this so you can all have access to them. Learn it. It's a great way to learn how to troubleshoot and look at your network. So this is the third one. Then we have problems with rules. When you make a rule, like, in fact, I have a whole video on it. Don't hang a wall on an AP like a clock. That's a really good rule. Unless you're, I don't know, a Ubiquity, and you watched on somebody posted it on TikTok and said it worked in their house, so you went and followed. There's legitimate reasons not to hang APs on the wall like a clock. But you found one. There's time to break the rules. So just because there's a rule, the intelligent people, and you're all intelligent because you came today, will know not only when it's time to break the rule, but why. And if you understand why you broke the rule, go ahead, break the rule. I don't care. What I'm worried about is the people who are like, I stuck it because I saw it on TikTok. Well, that's not, probably you don't really understand why you did the thing you did. So there's lots of things that are going to have to change. So if you go back one, as we look at each of these, there's a green box. I put in a recommendation. You put in whatever you want to measure. If you need 67, put in 67. If you don't need one of those that are green, check it off and change it how you want to use it. This is just a shell to make things work. There's one last thing, and the fourth one we're going to talk about today is finishing the connection. Yes, we have the Wi-Fi up, and yes, we might get all 25 checkboxes were 100%. We even do the other up to 66 on the details, and we're really good. And the client still can't connect. Possibly because, if I get the right one here, it's not a red problem. If it's a blue problem and my DHCP server is giving me the wrong scope, that has nothing to do with Wi-Fi. This is a Wi-Fi checklist. How do we do these? So what we can do for the next checklist over, let me back up. If you don't understand this picture and can explain to a 5-year-old each of those bubbles, start studying. Because if I hit a captive portal, has anyone ever hit a captive portal? Say, does the Wi-Fi work? Guaranteed. You don't see a captive portal until you've done the association, including 802.11 authentication, and then you do your open or .1x or PSK authentication, and then you get encryption, and then you can pass traffic, and then you get a DHCP and a VLAN and a default gateway, and you can pass traffic to the local network, and then someone stuck a captive portal in there. If you see a captive portal, you do not have a wireless problem, ever. But yeah, so how do you understand? If you understand all this and what I just got done saying, then you know if I get a captive portal or I have an IP address or I can ping the device, I don't have a wireless problem. I have some other problem. So we made a list of things you could do. After you see all the SSIDs, and you should be able to see them all, you associate, you complete the authentication, you get an IP address, you get the default gateway, you can ping the default gateway, you can ping DNS, you can ping a remote IP address on a remote one that's not DNS, and you need to have one of those in the back of your head all the time. Dave, what do you use? It works for both. It's a good DNS, and it also works, and it doesn't require DNS to hit it, and it will answer a ping. They don't always answer ping. So you need something with an IP address so you can test, well, is my network working, but it's a DNS problem? So you ping a remote address, and then you ping a remote address through DNS. You check your MCS, you check your new rate, and then you do a speed test. All of which say that the network's working. But how many of these are wireless? Like the first 3. But if they fail, it's still going to be a wireless problem. So we did 4 different checklists. The first checklist was how to not have a wireless problem is don't let a wired problem become a wireless problem. The second one we did was the top 25, and those were really easy to deal with. Next one was we had an extended checklist, up to 66 tons of information, and we finally said, let's look at a connection checklist. You could, how many of you have Android phones? How many of you run Analyty? If you don't, you need Analyty. Analyty will do this for you automatically and actually give you a PDF and send it out. So there's cool stuff there. You can do it on any device. It's just you have that one is what works automatically. So where do you get these? There's the little QR code. When you go there, you will see this presentation. I wrote it out like a blog. And then you can download all the checklists plus all of those resources all in one place. Because knowledge is like manure. If you spread it around, it helps things grow. If you hold on to it, you just stink. So to share more information, we have another conference, the WLPC conference. We're holding in Phoenix and Prague and Valencia and Mexico City this year. And we have been collecting and having conference data like this, and we put them up on the YouTube channel, just like Open Reality puts theirs out. Very good, thank you. You're sharing the manure. Don't think of it that way. You're sharing the knowledge, yeah. So if you want, they're all available there. I think we've got like over 1,000 videos if you want to go and learn. And so that's how you contact me. Do that for a second. I'm an email guy. I'm on Twitter and Slack. They're easy to find. And the last thing I want to hit, so perfect timing. Actually, I'm perfect timing, including you stealing my time. Be nice, be happy, be grateful, be satisfied in your life, and just be you. Thanks.